What's going on, people? We're back. We're a couple minutes late, but we are here. How's it going, everybody? It's Full Field Read. It's your favorite Broncos. We actually watch the film. We're dunking on people. Robbie's going crazy on the internet type of show. Robbie, how are you today, sir?
I am great. I am great. Listen, just talking ball, burning bridges. It feels great to finally be back into the season, into the swing of things, and just talking ball.
You are a lone man on an island. There is no aid coming to your island. It has to come via ship. There is no cargo being brought over by truck. It is instead having to make its way over the Great Ocean because there are no bridges left. But anyways, yeah, preseason week 1. We are so close. It's terrible. I'm counting down the days. I know everybody's chomping at the bit because somehow we got like 10 snaps from every player, and there's hot takes for every single player across the roster, it seems like. Bo Nix is no longer good enough to be the Broncos starting quarterback based on a handful of preseason snaps. Robbie, what do we do? Our quarterback sucks now.
I don't know. I mean, they're saying that he's going to get replaced by 2027. I don't know what to do.
Do we have to get back on
I
the
have no
Stidham
clue.
train? We did that a couple years ago. We were like, hey, maybe I'm the only one.
We did.
Literally one of my takeaways from the game, and this is going to be such a like. I was like, you know what? If there's ever a game where it's like, shit, we got to have Stidham come in and close it out for us. We got to have him play a week. Jared Stidham can cover a week for this team. But yeah, we're just gonna be going through the offense today, just the starters. They played either 3 or 4 series. I don't remember exactly which one it was. They had like a 3-and-out in one of them. Any big takeaways from the starting offense before we get into it, or anything you want to say before we kind of dive in?
Honestly, not really. I mean, it was only a handful of snaps, probably about between 20 or 30 snaps. I'm not necessarily concerned. It's the first action of the year. I mean, I know everyone is just expecting this gigantic leap immediately, but I don't really have a takeaway from 20 snaps in a preseason game. There's no takeaway to be had realistically.
I actually, something you said, it's the expectation of how big of a leap is coming. I think is something that I honestly want to real quick, guys. We got to remember where Bo Nix was last year. Like he was 15th in EPA per play. He was 26th in success rate. He was around like that like probably middle clump of quarterbacks. All right. I think there's a lot of hype that he's going to become this top 5 guy, and everybody's going to want the Broncos to look like the Bengals offense. That is not going to happen. I don't think that is the goal of this team, how it's built. So everybody should kind of put that expectation away. But oh man, it's going to be juicy the first time Bo Nix has a bad game because people are clamoring at the bit to have just to complain, and I love it so much. But yeah, let's get into the offense out further ado. And like you said, not really too much to take away. The offense looked pretty. Like I'm excited to see it just because they showed a lot of different run concepts throughout it, and they kind of one thing that I don't know. I'm excited to kind of just see get worked more into the season. Just they have so many different players that can take either screens or just these quick game kind of outlets and kind of make things happen. But getting into
Yeah,
the
and I
first,
mean, it looked. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no,
It looked like last season that's what they were trying to build. Like they wanted these auxiliary guys who would be able to take a dink and dunk type of offense and build off of that yak. I mean, we saw them what they tried to do with Marvin Mims. They got him in the backfield. They got him on those short swing routes on the screens and all these type of things. And then now it looks like they've kind of upgraded these pieces around him to where he's not the only one that has to go out and make a sort of play like that. They've got these pieces in other areas that they can do that as well.
I completely agree. What did you think about RJ Harvey?
I liked him. I really liked him. I don't think that there was necessarily, concern like a lot of people were saying on Twitter. I don't think it was really much of anything, but I think we saw a lot to, look forward to and to like. I don't think that the idea that he bounced every single run when he shouldn't have is all that accurate, in my opinion. I mean, we'll go through it here, but there was only one run where I saw where he probably shouldn't have bounced it outside. And Sean Payton, reinforced that opinion in a presser the other day. So Harvey looks like a dude, man. He can get that angle around on those secondary support players so easily, just so easily. And I think that's what separates a lot of some of these young running backs is where they have that gear to get downfield and they have the gear to fight off those chunk plays. but they don't necessarily have the gear to get that angle on some of these secondary defenders.
See, I was gonna say too, man. Maybe I'm crazy. I saw him after like 2 snaps, and they were only like a couple yard gains. There was like the 111-yard carry, but I was like, seen enough. You are faster and more electric than pretty much any back they've had in the past like 4 years. Like Jaleel sometimes has his moments, but they just haven't had a guy like you said that can really beat angles or also like run through the odd arm tackle. Blake Watson also did a little bit of that throughout this game. We won't get to watch any of him, but he was a guy also like doing a little bit of that, more of that slashing back type of stuff. And yeah, man, I mean, hey, I came away pretty satisfied. They're throwing a lot of underneath routes to him. I think he's going to eat in this offense. I mean, the swing ended up being a miss. That would have been a massive gainer, but like looked all right to me. Is the vision perfect? No, but he's a rookie. These are his first live snaps. And I thought he looked fine. There were a couple plays this game where just like they're a little bit off. Like if Troutman doesn't get tripped up by McGlinchey, I think they kind of just stumble over each other. This actually is pretty well read out by Harvey. He sees that he needs to get here and then cut up here. He does that. It's just, Troutman ate his face because he got stepped over by McGlinchey. Where I completely agree with you. When I went back and watched this, like you said, there is one run where he doesn't read it out perfectly, but I don't know. I was pretty satisfied with what we saw. And again, I think what we've heard throughout training camp about this being a zone-heavy offense is going to remain to be true.
Me too, honestly. And although Harvey was the shotgun downhill type of runner in college majority, but I think he'll on some of these zone runs, they finally have a guy who can hit all three levels of the read and finally at least make some of those zone runs not a net negative on the season like it looked like most of the time with some of these past running backs.
Yeah. All right, get on to play number 2 here. We're into the RPO bag already. This is going to be such a bread and butter thing for them to do the entire season. But Troy Franklin today, hey, I am going to have to repeal some Troy Franklin things. I feel bad. It's interesting because, I feel a bit like a dumbass that I just was so inconfident in this coaching. We've preached for like 2 years now, like, man, this is a really good coaching staff. They know how to get the most out of players. We talk so much about Sean Payton. Sean Payton is a guy that in this receiver room, at least and through most of his career, he likes to have these bigger bodied guys. So if he's going to take a chance on a guy like Troy Franklin, I think, and have him in the offense, there's probably a reason why. And I think I'm not trying to sell the Troy Franklin hype stock too high right now, but he's going to be a piece of this offense. And I think that was pretty clear throughout these first, all these starter snaps. I don't think Pat Bryant played a snap with the starting 11, if I remember correctly, in all these things we're going to go through right here. But I was pretty excited to see what we saw out of Troy Franklin on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, me too. And I there's video proof of it, so I can't walk it back too much. But I had some very harsh things to say about Troy Franklin and his development last season, and it looks like we're gonna have to walk some of that back because the things that we've heard coming out of camp, coming out of these practices, coming out of that first preseason game is just he looks like a completely different player from top to bottom. Whether it be his play style, whether it be his frame from top to bottom, he just does not look like the Troy Franklin from last year. And I think that's huge because they didn't invest too much into this receiver room. They banked everything onto the development of the players that they already had. And to see this kind of step, presumably from Troy Franklin so far, it's just massive because we knew that he could be the somewhat deep threat kind of guy, although some of those opportunities didn't really be hauled in last season. But what we really needed him to be, and what this offense really needed him to be, is that kind of guy who can take these catches over the intermediate areas of the field and take these short catches and turn them into bigger games. And it looks like so far from this offseason, we've heard that he's doing that a lot. And there's a snap of this game where he's lined up off the line of scrimmage and he's digging out a safety in the run game. I mean, that's not something Troy Franklin did ever last season. And he's already doing it now in a preseason game. So I think it just bodes very well for his development and the projection of this offense this year if he takes that step that we've been hearing so much about.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And it'll be so exciting if they can have more big play elements to be had. I mean, it's not going to be – the offense, I think, again, it's people got to know what they're going to be looking at. It's going to be a lot of this underneath stuff. It's going to be a lot of these screens, the stuff to open up, especially early in the season because Sean does that. He likes to show a lot of a certain look at, weeks 1 through 3 and then kind of throw curveballs off of it. You'll kind of see one of those examples later in this game that I kind of liked as well. But there are a lot of, good opportunities here for, I think, guys like Troy Franklin to really make a name for themselves, guys like RJ Harvey, Blake Watson, whoever, to kind of find these underneath opportunities and turn them into more yak advantages. Denver hasn't really had a lot of great yak weapons outside of Little Jordan Humphrey, who's also having a preseason baby. Had to get some love in there. Just haven't had a lot of those weapons just in recent memory. So having more of these guys that can take a 4-yard gain and turn it into a 17-yard gain is massive.
Yeah, and they really haven't. And it seemed like last year so much of the offense and so much of all of Sean Payton's offenses was built on that very thing. And it just was non-existent last year. So them being able to have that kind of element to their offense, hopefully this season, it's just going to do so much for raising the floor of that offense.
What did you think about Bo throwing up just like a couple jump balls to Sutton in this one?
I loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
that they made so much money off of it last season, so much money. And as the season went on, Nick's really started to come into his own on some of those sideline isolation throws. And I mean, this one is just a fucking beauty. I mean,
Yeah.
he's building off of some of the throws from the latter half of last season. I don't have an issue with it. I mean, they overload the right side. They get that one-on-one that they have. They're throwing away from the rotation. I don't have an issue with it at all. I mean, selfishly, I tweeted this out after the game, and I tweeted this clip. I selfishly wanted them to throw it to Harvey here just to see what we can see from him in the open space. But, I mean, that isn't to knock the read or the throw from Knicks.
Right. I mean, have we been watching this team the last couple of years? If there's one-on-one on 14's side, if you're playing a one-high set like they are here, Bo Nix is going to take the shot. Russell Wilson's going to take the shot. Jarrett Stidham's going to take the shot. Someone's throwing up to 14. We just gave this guy 90, or not we. I didn't pay him a single dollar. They just gave this guy $92 million. They're going to throw a couple of shots, and it completely makes sense, guys. Again, this is the preseason. This is the time to, like, all right, let's make sure, let's get a couple of these shots up before we got to fully, get into the real bullets flying scenarios. Let's put these things in the air now and just see if my guy can come down with a highlight play or two. No, I thought it made complete sense. And the offensive line in this one, I know there were a couple of the run plays that people are upset about, we should highlight this as well. This is against the 49ers backups. Maybe that should have been said earlier. The 49ers didn't really play most of their starters in this game. They did have some fun players out there. They did play both of their rookie defensive tackles in Alfred Collins and CJ West, who I really like. They had a safety that was playing really well as well. I can't remember if he was 26 or 36. I think that's him, like, right there. But, so this is not the starting 49ers defense. So there are going to be some moments where, I don't know, things might not necessarily go as cleanly as they do in the regular season. But some of the pockets that the offensive line was being able to give Bo in this game, I mean, beautiful. Beautiful stuff right here. And hopefully they can continue that going into year 2 of being, like, the least pressured offensive line in the league.
They need to. They definitely need to. If they're going to see anything come out of this raised floor that we've heard about all offseason, they need to.
How do you feel about How did you feel about Luke Wattenberg? Still the starting center. You a fan of Luke Wattenberg?
I mean, I don't think they have a better option, to be honest. I like Forsyth as a depth piece. I liked a lot of the things that he did in this game. I mean, he had some killer fucking reps on some of these duo runs, but I don't necessarily think that they have a better option. So it's not that he's, the best center that they can get on the market or in the draft or any of these other areas, but I think he's just the best option that they have right now. And I think it'll do a lot if Bo can really take this next step pre-snap and kind of help him sort some of these things out so they can just help each other.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, he's really a guy, like, don't get me wrong, again, I wish they had an all-pro, but I think it gets to a point where there's always going to be a worst starter, not saying to not, like, want big upgrades, but, like, I mean, we were talking about Ben Powers in our little separate group chat the other day. I think he's a good example of, like, there's nothing wrong with having some C+, B- on your team. And I'm not necessarily saying those guys are where that's going to be, but, like, it's hard to assume you're going to have an A+ across the roster. Of course, looking at a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, it's kind of like, well, look at them. But it genuinely is hard to have advantages at every single position, where I kind of agree. I think right now he gives them okay base level play. Sometimes he kind of blows up the run game, but I think he's fine, and I think for the money, he makes sense. And the center market every offseason sucks. Like, that's the thing. If it was like, oh, they're passing up all these great opportunities for upgrades, sure. But most of the time, it's like, oh, you can pay, $6 million and get a 34-year-old who isn't going to end up playing that well for you, or just roll with this young guy who's already on a cheap contract as is. But, yeah. Then getting into the next one right here, we just got another outside zone rep.
This is one of those plays where it really stands out the way Harvey gets the angle on some of these defensive backs, and it just looks so effortless.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, these are those outside carries that they just weren't able to really create last year with a guy like Javonte Williams. No offense to Javonte Williams, but he just doesn't have the burst to get outside on a lot of these plays. But Valet also with a nice inside sealer. I'll be honest, all the receivers kind of impressed me. Maybe they weren't always making the greatest block, but good effort, and that's always an exciting thing. Like, the buy-in from this team feels very real this year. You kind of see a lot of the effort getting put through, even though this is a preseason game that's kind of meaningless in the long run, but it's good to see that stuff early on from pretty much starters across the board. And I also want to highlight that Quinn Miners gets tripped up by Mike McGlinchey here. Don't get it twisted. This is not Quinn Miners getting bodied on the ground right here. This is a trip over a fellow lineman and a fall. Gotta make sure that's known before everybody's like, oh my God, who is 93 on the 49ers who just served Quinn his breakfast?
But you gotta tell him. You
gotta tell him. You gotta let him know. You gotta let him know. Right here, poorly read out stunt by the offensive line, which kind of sucked because last year that was kind of their one issue. Not stunts in general, but when Bo was kind of having to face pressure on the interior, just kind of, colors getting flashed on the inside, he would kind of get a little bit skittish. So seeing a little bit of this early wasn't the best, but I mean, once again, Bo is just unsackable, I guess, in the pocket, but just wasn't able to get this one out to J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, not too much on this one.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really anywhere to go anyways.
No,
just
there was
simple
not.
9-8-9.
I'm really excited to see Evan Ingram. He had a couple, he doesn't necessarily have, the long-distance speed, but he can shake dudes off the line of scrimmage. Honestly, all the guys were doing a pretty good job of beating press coverage. This isn't the best play to show it, but they were doing a pretty good job of beating press coverage in this one, which for some of their smaller frame guys is really impressive.
I agree.
This one we just got the dump off underneath it. Yeah, run us through this.
This is an issue that kind of plagued him a little bit last year. Knicks, I'm talking about, is on some of these plays where you have the hard play action shot and you have these 3-level concepts where you can take the deep shot, you can take the intermediate shot, and then you can just check it down. These deep shots and the intermediate shots didn't present themselves right away. So off the rip, you're supposed to come off of those and you're supposed to work your way down. It seemed like last season Knicks was a tick late to come off of some of those intermediate and deep shots, and sometimes it didn't even come off of them at all and tried to force something. But when he did go down to the check down, it was always just so late, and it just killed any yak opportunity that was present on that play. And I think this is another example of that. And again, it's not the end of the world. This is their first action in however many months it's been since the end of last season. But again, it's just something that's kind of carried over from last year so far.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It was something we talked about a lot whenever we'd see Jaleel get targeted in the flats. It's like, hey, man, that's great that we're able to get the 4-5. Give your guy an opportunity to make a play here. If you're able to give this to J.K. Dobbins, at the numbers, maybe a little bit prior, it's way easier for him to turn upfield and do something in space. Instead, he's catching the ball with 2 yards to the sideline. There's nothing you can really do with that ball. It's not a big deal, but like you said, it's one of those things that we did see kind of pop up last year. You don't want to take the shot anywhere. Maybe he's holding on to Sutton for just a second, but no, man, just work your way down. I think this was on first down as well. And, let's get to a second down. So light complaint, but definitely something that I also kind of picked up on. That's like, hey, this is something we ticked a lot last year, being like, you got to kind of work on this. It did seem like, and I mean, this is, just them doing one check, but it seemed like Bo had more control at the line of scrimmage, or was given more control at the line of scrimmage in this one compared to last season.
Yeah, that's one thing I noted as well. It seemed like Peyton gave him a ton of kill calls. And for anyone who's listening who doesn't know what that is, it's just Peyton will call two plays at the line of scrimmage. He'll call one play based off one look. And if you don't get that one look, you can kill the play into the second look. And it just seemed like he got a lot more of those so far in this first preseason game, where he wasn't necessarily getting a ton of those last season. And towards the latter half of the season, he was. I don't want to discredit Nick's or the steps he took throughout that season. But it really feels like Peyton is trusting him a lot more at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I really agree. Right here, we get him killing into the crack toss. Pat Bryant did play with the starters, excuse me. But no, Pat Bryant gets a really good crack block. I love seeing them. Like, they have I don't want to say this. There's so many good athletic tackle duos. They have a very athletic tackle duo of guys that are good on the move with McGlinchey and Bulls. Very exciting seeing that get utilized early, even though, yes, it is the preseason and this run doesn't go for very much. Belay gets beat out here by the safety. This is the guy I was talking about that had a pretty nice game. And Powers, this guy also was doing pretty good work against Powers, kind of just disrupting everything on the interior. But, yeah, not too much to be had here. Another RJ Harvey short carry. We're on to the next one. Do you think the workload's going to be this heavily favored towards Harvey in the season? Let me ask that before we get into this next play.
I don't necessarily think so, and that isn't to knock Harvey. I think this was kind of like his audition in a kind of role like that for this first preseason game. And the reason I think so is because I think the discrepancy between he and J.K. Dobbins' ability in pass protection right now is just way too big of a gap for Harvey to see this much of a workload. And again, that's not to knock him. I think he's going to carve out his own workload, and I think he's going to do very well in that role. But for right now, before we see the progress that he's made in his first NFL offseason, I think the discrepancy is just way too big right now for Harvey to kind of see a running back one type of role. I mean, the most I can see is a running back 1A and 1B kind of situation with Dobbins being the 1A. But I really just think Dobbins taking that first role benefits this offense a little bit more.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I don't think there's ever really going to be a true just like this is the only running back getting like 70% of the touches for a Sean Payton offense. I just don't think that's going to be a thing unless he had like it would take an unfathomable talent. Like, you know, even Kamara got spelled a good bit, even though he put up such outrageous numbers where, you know, I think it is going to be a bit more lean towards Dobbins, but I won't be surprised if we get a little bit into the year and Sean just says, hey, we've got a quarterback that utilized these underneath options so much. We'd like to get a little bit more explosiveness out of this. We already saw in this game a way they're kind of responding to these, you know, these edge blitzes, these nickel blitzes, these safety blitzes is we're just going to send RJ out in the flat and let's see if they can kind of make something work with that. I see Robby disconnected here for just a second. He's back, but it'll be interesting. I think they've got kind of the entire room at running back. That might be the biggest takeaway is they only added two names. Like, yes, it's a different running back room, but a lot of the guys from last year that like we saw very little action from, guys like Bidet, guys like Watson. Estime didn't necessarily shine too much in this one, but not even shine too much, didn't really shine at all in this one. But I think that the running back room has a lot of different options for a lot of what they're going to be trying to do this year. It's just kind of about, you know, finding out who's going to be able to fill which role. And yeah, I'll be honest.
I mean,
oops, sorry.
No, I was just going to say they got a really nice mixed bag so far this season.
Yeah. I wish we got to see a one-on-one pass blocking opportunity with the backs. We didn't really get to see too many from what I remember in this one.
No. This one, all right. I went back and forth with this one when I was watching it on replay. So they're in a 3-by-1 bunt set. They're just doing simple mesh with a deep over from Franklin as the point man. These are the kinds of throws that I want to see Knicks at least attempt to make or give a look to, because that's what's really going to separate him from these other batch of quarterbacks and really going to, you know, kind of take this development to the next level. Now, as a quarterback at any level, you can ask any coach, whether it be NFL, Pop Warner, high school, college, you are taught if the defender's back is to you, your guy is wide open. because that defender can't make a play on the ball quick enough if his back is to you. Now, 49ers rotate from, I think it was a zero look to a cover three buzz kind of look with that down safety coming to poach any crosser. The down safety who came down to poach that crosser got caught up with that backer, and they're working through each other to try and get under Franklin. With that and their backs being turned, there's more than enough room for Nix to throw this ball with some air to the sideline by where that 40-yard line mark is, to where Franklin can be the only one to get a point on that ball. And those are the kinds of throws that will really separate Nix. And instead of making that throw or really giving much of a look to it, he does the same thing that he was doing a lot of the time last year, where he has a perfect pocket, a perfect NFL pocket, and he does that little skip up into the pocket and the half scramble into a pressure and into a forced throw. Now, it isn't a bad throw because it's pretty much a check down at this point. It's just a sit on a mesh concept. But there was a better throw to be made. And if he hung in there a little bit more, I think there was a better play to be made.
I mean, yeah, I think you're completely right here. This is exactly what we've talked about, where it's like he makes every throw as hard as humanly possible on himself. Like, guys, this is a wide open guy sitting right here. Look at how he throws this ball. Like, he's literally throwing it off one step into his offensive line. We're not in the Matrix. We don't got to be doing crazy shit out here every single snap. Like, make it easier on yourself, work through your progressions. And I think you're right. At the top of your drop, you can end up seeing kind of this deep crosser that's ending up wide open here. You see him kind of get to the top of his hitch, and he even sees it. It looks like his eyes are in the right spot. He just ends up kind of taking he settles for this. And if I'm not mistaken, too, I think this is ending up on a third down. So I'm pretty sure they end up not converting here because he takes the underneath option to Sutton, who, as we know, is not he is not a yards after catch receiver. I love you, Cortland Sutton, but you have less yards after catch in the last few years, I feel like, than I do in the NFL. So yeah, it's just one of those things that you would like to see a little bit more aggression and kind of understanding, I think, of, hey, how is the leverage working here? You've got an open guy running open. This is Valea, too. He didn't really get too much shine in the preseason or in this first game, but really good pocket once again from the entire line. And yeah, it just comes up a couple yards short. So then, now we get the most frustrating series.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So play one. This sucks because it's another one of those things that last year we noted a lot. We were like, man, when the free runner comes at Nix, he is not good at getting that pass around the free runner. He could not hit. He has the arm angle throws, but those were the ones where it felt like it got batted down every single time. It would get tipped up in the air. It would just get smacked down, whatever. The ball wouldn't end up finding its target. Here, once again, we've got kind of the same issue, and it sucks because this would have been a massive RJ Harvey game. So large. This one would have been on every single social media page. The Broncos were praying for a play like this to happen for all the engagements it would have gotten them, but sadly, it falls incomplete, and RJ Harvey lands on his face. Break this one down for me, Robbie. What's happening here? Why did this happen? Not why did this happen?
I mean, it's just exactly what you said. It's just he struggles sometimes getting that throw around or above that free rusher. And this time, I don't even think the ball got tipped. He just didn't get that much under it as much as he needed it to be. And like you said, there's just so much room for Harvey to work here. And it would have been so nice to see what he could do with the ball in his hand in a situation like that. It just sucks on the easy plays like this that they couldn't connect on this one.
And it's something that was kind of cool in this game to see is multiple times. I mean, we'll get to the one in a couple plays here. They answered pressure with a really good response. Like, this is a perfect call into this pressure. Having this happen in the regular season would be brutal. Literally, it'd be so painful to watch. Like, oh my God, you got Saleh calling a heater on you. Your quarterback sees the right call, beats it, and it fell flat into the dirt, and now you've got second down backed up at your old goal line instead of up at the 30. So, yeah, this one absolutely sucked. Hello, everybody in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm doing a bad job of interacting with people. I do have the chat right here. I am reading it intermittently, getting distracted. But, yeah, these ones got to land. I did like seeing that the team at least had an answer for something like this because Bo needs to have defined answers for when there's pressure. That was like a big thing last year, is when Nix was pressured, which wasn't frequently, but when he was pressured, he was one of the worst QBs in the league. So he needs to have the ability that when things get, I almost said something that would have been another pause moment. I'm going to say it. When things get hot and sticky, Bo's got to be able to make a play out there. He's just got to be able to find the right response, find the hot target, and right here, he wasn't able to find that guy.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that was kind of a theme with this specific drive.
Yeah. And we got play number 2. Here's the third play is brutal in this one, and the second play is honestly what makes it so brutal to me. So this is nothing special. They're just running a quick little swing screen. Sean Payton's going to run this play 17 times this year, and it's going to be fantastic. And there's going to be one time where they run a weird play off of it, and then it's going to go for a loss, and everyone's going to want Sean Payton killed. But yeah, this one's pretty simple. Downfield blocking from the receivers. Get RJ Harvey in space. He fell forward. Nice. Now we'll get to the play, the most controversial play of the day, right? Not even controversial. The most poopy play of the day. Yeah. Robby, why don't you walk us through this one?
I mean, this is just such a diabolical look from Saleh in a fucking preseason. I don't know what to make of it from the defensive side. I really don't know, but it's just filthy. I loved it, as a sicko football fan. I love to watch it and I love to see it come into fruition. But I mean, this is just insane. They've got free rushers from both sides. Dobbins, I don't necessarily think this is on Dobbins because he's scanning that box. He's scanning to see who the nearest threat is. And he sees that backer or that DB coming off the end of the line of scrimmage, and he's not capping any of the receivers. So he's in a clear blitz look. Now, the guy who does end up getting the free rusher on Nix, he's capping a receiver on the opposite side. He does not necessarily have a blitz look until the very last second when Dobbins has already made his assignment up. And even if Dobbins shifted over and took that guy, the other guy's coming in free. So Saleh just did a really good job of manipulating Dobbins' assignment rules here, and he was going to get a free rusher in anyway. But when it comes to protection, Nix is also at fault here because when you have pressure and you have a free rusher, you're coached to throw against that pressure. And Nix didn't do that. And again, a lot of people yelled at me when I said this, and he didn't want to take a hit in the preseason, and he didn't want to risk his body. If he throws this to Franklin at the top of his drop, he's not getting hit. No defender is hitting Nix in that situation in the preseason at all. And on one hand, I don't think we can crucify Sean Payton if he doesn't play starters in the preseason, and then also coddle those starters in the preseason when they make these plays because you don't want them to get hit and get hurt. There's 5 yards of space between Nix and the free rusher right now. That's more than enough time to float this ball to Franklin. And it's such a nice design. You've got Troy Franklin who's doing a chip and release, and probably your best yak guy on that field right now is doing the chip and release with nobody around him to get all those yak yardage off that release. So, I mean, it was a really nice design. This should have been such a bigger play than it was. This is a laughing stock of a play, and, Denver has had a little bit too many of those. But I don't think it's anything to end the world over, but it is a play that you would wish to see made.
Brutal. It was a brutal play, but yeah, no, pretty much everything you said. I remember going back and being like, "Oh my God, they baited the hell out of J.K. Dobbins." Like you got linebacker showing obvious pressure. And he's like, "Okay, guys, I got 26 is doing such a good job disguising his pressure here." Like you said, I mean, he's capping a receiver. He's not really showing that he's going. Just does a really good job coming in late. You've got the stunt working on this left side, which kind of pulls in Bowles a little bit more, even just to give him even more space. Which I will say the offensive line outside of that first snap, this is what I was going to comment on. Like they kind of throughout the game fixed themselves on their communications on a lot of these stunts. But yeah, you got a free runner coming at you. You don't even get to the top of your drop, but you can just lay this up right here, even if not I don't know, whatever. And then you just compound an error on a bigger error. And then what I was gonna say, what sucks too, is dude, they did that play before that was just like a little 4-yard scoop to get themselves out of a situation where you're standing on your own goal line. Like the whole, not the whole idea, but such a good feature of what they just did is nice. We don't even have to worry about that. And you still made it an issue. It's just madness. And yeah, that can't happen in a regular season game, or it is going to be ugly out here for folks.
Yeah.
And by folks, I mean people that support the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. But yeah, everyone wash your eyes. That play horribleness is over. Yeah, the next one here. Ooh, this was the one where the bouncing outside worked. They haven't had a back that could do this in a long time. I'm going to say that a lot, I feel like, this year.
Not at all. And again, this is another example of Harvey just getting that angle on those force players so easily. He's such a natural athlete.
Yeah. Yeah, you got Quinn Miners doing a really good job against, I think that's Collins. The double team from Powers and Bulls on the left side is really good here. This might be one of those, like, no, I forgot you just have this guy coming inside. This isn't the rep. But, no, just does a really good job working outside. Yes, these are preseason defenders. Who knows? Maybe if this is Fred, well, I'll be honest, if this is Fred Warner, it's probably getting locked up. But, NFL starting defenders. Now I feel like I'm being mean to these guys. You know what I'm trying to say. Maybe non-backup defenders would be able to make this play, but they don't. RJ Harvey shows some explosiveness and ends up picking up 11 and gets absolutely obliterated out of bounds, but pops back up afterwards, which is really good to see. Yeah, I mean, the interior offensive line was just bulldozing people whenever they got the opportunity to. I just run duo, man. Just run duo a lot more. Just punch people. Punch people. Here, quick little bubble screen to Mims. First one of these looks. I mean, so I want to say something because I think there's going to be – this is a good example, and I think the deep balls to Sutton are a good example too. This is going to be a core element of the Broncos offense. So while, yes, this might not have been the flashiest game plan for week 1 of the preseason, it's good to get these reps in front of fans in a live stadium. A little like these little like small screens, the swing to Harvey, that is kind of, when people were kind of questioning, I think some of the calls that might have been getting called, I don't really know if people were questioning that much stuff, but whatever. It's important to get this vanilla stuff down so you're confident to kind of build off of it later into the season. So I was pretty satisfied with that element where, like, operationally, outside of a few, miscues on protection calls, they were really good. Like, I don't think they had a pre-snap penalty in this one. It seems like they kind of ran the stuff they wanted to run without there being any, miscommunications on routes, just purely unblocked defenders, stuff like that. Like, I thought it ended up being a pretty kind of okay outing, on regards to what you actually want to see coached up in the preseason,
Yeah, and I mean, Peyton came out and said to Kay Adams just the other day that he reworked his playbook, and now a lot of these calls are one-word calls now. So hopefully that helps streamline a lot of this offense and streamline a lot of the pre-snap process that we saw the past 2 years that the offense kind of struggled with.
Russell Wilson's so pissed somewhere. He's just like, I said this for like 4 weeks. This guy made me, leave town. Now he's got he's got Bo Nix, and he's like, fuck it. You want to run, soda pop? We'll run a play called soda pop. Let's make it one word. A lot easier for you, kid. I don't know why I made Sean Payton Italian there, but that was my Italian Sean Payton. Oh, I got a little split zone. Is this play 1? No, it's play 13. This one's very similar to the one earlier. Evan Ingram is not going to be a very, very big impact guy in the blocking game for anyone that's wondering that this year. That was shown in this preseason. Him and Troutman. I was actually looking at a random little side tangent here. I was looking at personnel-wise, what formations Denver was best out of last year compared to like the league average and stuff. Their 12 personnel stuff, really bad. They were really bad at a 12 personnel. 11 personnel average. This is fun because I think we talk about this a lot. Their 2-back personnel, like their pony personnel or anything that had Mike Burton in it, they were well above average. They were like top 10 in all those. So let's go. More of that, please. Let's see here. I think they did run a little bit of like 0-1, and I want to say they were pretty low, but they barely ran that throughout the year. Sorry, random little side tangent I thought of, but I think their 12 personnel was still going to be not too good this year, which is too bad because I just think they're going to really struggle to run out of it. Like, unless you're going to go Troutman Adkins, but I feel like then people are going to know. people are gonna know if you go Troutman.
Yeah.
What you're trying to do, man.
Yeah, I think they're in the same boat that they were in last year, especially with the multiplicity that they didn't have in that 12 personnel last year.
So you'll love this, and I want to ask you. So I'm just going on very random side tangents. This team last season was 26 in EPA per rush out of shotgun. Under center, they were 9th. How do they improve that this year? Does RJ Harvey help with that? Is that a Bo Nix thing? Where do you have any ideas? I don't want to be like, you have to know how to fix this, but do you have any ideas on how that one would be resolved at all? Because I think that's something that, like, even in this one, we didn't see much success when they tried to run out of gun.
Yeah, I think having a guy like RJ Harvey will help mitigate that, especially because that's predominantly what he ran in college. I mean, he was almost strictly a shotgun runner in college. But they just don't have the multiplicity on their roster to be able to do that consistently because when you're coming out in these shotgun formations, majority of the time, you're in 11. And when you're in 11, that one tight end, if it's a blocking tight end, it's not necessarily a tell, but you're leaning more one way than you are the other. And Denver doesn't have any guys on their roster that can do both. You know, if you have a guy like, I don't know, George Kittle, you can live in 11 because he's an elite passing threat and he's also an elite run blocker. So there's no tell on the field there. There's no, you're not tipping your hand to the defense. Denver doesn't have a guy where they can do that. If they have Ingram, it's more than likely going to be a pass. And if it is a run, there's a weakness on the blocking scheme. If they have Troutman in there, it's more than likely going to be a run. And if it's a pass, they have a weakness in the passing concept. So it's this double-edged sword that they have where they don't necessarily have a guy who can do both consistently to be able to run out of shotgun consistently out of 11.
It sucks. It really sucks. I also want to say Nate Adkins is missing the first few weeks of the season, and I'm crushed, and I know all of you are crushed as well. So please get well soon, Nate Adkins. I love you. Yeah, but no, I completely agree. They just need to have the personnel to be able to work these gun runs. But was just one of those interesting splits kind of that I wanted to keep track of. I took some good little they were 9th in stacked box rate, they were 4th in scramble percentage, 2nd in sack percentage, 1st in pressure rate allowed, I came a little prepped today. We got to get Nate Adkins that Pro Bowl. I agree, Andy. All right, getting into the next one here. This is the one. Robby, walk us through it.
I mean, I like the decision. You're throwing away from the leverage that the safety has. Probably just want to get it out there a little bit more, just a tad bit toward the near pylon. But again, this is a nice route from Franklin. He's getting over top of the defensive back, and he's angling it upfield with that safety working back towards Sutton on the backside. I mean, I don't have any notes other than Knicks probably should have put this other or closer to the near pylon, and this would have been a big play. But another note I have on this, actually, I lied. I do have another note, is look at Ingram on that nub side, on that 3x1. He's all alone over there. Well, not all alone. Actually, I lied. It's a 2x2. But if Evan Ingram's getting an option route out here, when was the last time we saw a tight end get an option route in a Denver offense? This is pretty, pretty exciting because Sean Payton, I hated it so much, but Sean Payton all offseason talked about having a joker kind of guy, and having a joker kind of guy can really help elevate your drop back
Robby,
offense.
What's a joker? Can you explain what's a joker?
I don't want
it. It's too important. We need to break this down.
I fucking explain it. I'm so tired of hearing it. I'm genuinely so tired. But joker, which Sean Payton explained it the other day, is a running back with elite passing attributes or a tight end or receiving attributes. I'm sorry. Or a tight end with elite receiving attributes. And I don't necessarily think Evan Ingram has elite receiving attributes, but I think he has better than the average tight end. But if you can get Evan Ingram on some of these option routes and some of these pure drop back concepts, and he's able to work them consistently with the success of a wide receiver, that can really raise the floor of your drop back game.
I was excited to watch this one with you, mainly because I was pretty sure this was an option route at the top, but I wasn't 100%. But hearing you say it, we're just going to confirm it was. Evan Ingram's running option routes in Denver. Everyone get your party poppers out. We're going crazy. Yeah, a running back, tight end who catches the ball, huh? Like, we won't go too crazy out here with it. But I thought this was pretty sweet to see as well. Evan Ingram looked like he was separating very well underneath, and I this is why I was actually asking our own Zach Seegers and Bree Maces, who were at training camp practice today, like if there's been a connection building between these two, because we did not see Bo look the way of Evan Ingram, the way we've seen him look at Sutton or even at Troy Franklin. And again, the guys new on the team versus guys that have now been on the team with Knicks for 2 years. So it makes sense. But it is something that I think we need to track early into the season. Like, how often is Bo willing to go to him on these downfield targets, not just these little, bump and release routes? Is he someone he trusts on some of these timing routes, So, but yeah, no, I completely agree. Throw really wasn't that bad. I saw I don't know. This is kind of another one of those. I think it was last play too. CJ West does a really good job. You know what? I'll just go back to it and show it. CJ West does a really good job kind of blowing up Ben Powers here. And I saw a lot of people be like, Ben Powers sucks. And I'm gonna be like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, he could have done a better job here. But like sometimes defenders, they're getting paid too. That's a rookie trying to make a team. Just does a good job. This was one of those that even watching it live, I was like, oh man, like, yeah, you want to lay that up an extra yard, 2 yards, but also pretty solid play by the DB to get his head around and actually be able to make a play on the ball. So, yeah, I like seeing I just like seeing this offense right now, man. Like having the idea that your fourth, fifth, and sixth options at receiver aren't just going to be non-existent. I think they actually have a few guys that this guy might give you 300, 400 yards this year, which might not sound like much, but a couple of those guys can really factor in. And if you can have one of those guys in a year or two have like a true, I can become a 700-yard guy, it gets pretty exciting out here for the passing game, which it's so crazy to think that the passing game kind of carried the rushing game last year. I almost wonder, and this is kind of I don't know, not a hot take, but something I'm a little interested to watch. I almost wonder if there's a bit of a flipping this year. If the running game all of a sudden is like a top 12-ish unit, but the passing game kind of sticks to being 14th to 20th. You know what I mean? I wonder if that's kind of a possible flip that happens this year. And that's not me really trying to beat up on anybody. It's kind of how the team looks like it's built. But yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell Peyton definitely wants there to be that flip. Like he desperately wants Denver to have a good running game.
Bring out the pistol, Sean. Bring out as many running backs in the formation as you can. Let's get collegiate on their asses. This is another good one where, man, Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims beating some press coverage. I love it. I love seeing Marvin Mims getting. Did Marvin Mims run a comeback route in the first 3 years of his career? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Some nice separation by Franklin.
This is good across the board.
Yeah. No, this was another one of those where it's like, this is why you do 12 snaps in the preseason, 20 snaps. So you can get 3 or 4 of these and be like, we know what it feels like. I've hit the right shot before I've gone to, take my true stroke.
And that's a catch that Franklin doesn't make last year. No pun intended, to be frank, that's not a catch he makes last year. I mean, even in the Bills wild card loss, he dropped a third down ball that was just like this, right outside his frame, just a straight drop. But I mean, he really looks like a different guy. And I don't want to hype him up way too much just for him to have a fucking 400-yard season again. But it really looks like he's coming into his own.
This is one I wanted to point out too. Again, they started with a stunt early. This isn't even a stunt. I don't even know. Whatever. I thought he was going to loop around. Doesn't matter. Yeah, really good pocket here provided by the offensive line. Bo Nix with a clean delivery, not making it too difficult on himself. And yeah, man, pretty good anticipation on that baby too. But Troy Franklin catching passes outside of his frame over the middle of the field. I did not have that on my bingo card for preseason week 1 before the season started. So that's good to see. And that was a conversion on 4th down. Next one here.
Another one of these kill packages that Nick's got.
This is one I feel like Pat was upset at Ben Powers about, because Ben Powers was given some interesting body language on this one. But yeah, man, they are going to outside zone teams to death this year. They're really going to, like, it's kind of fun because in theory, I think their back should be really good at doing this just like one cut slashing type of stuff. But it's, again, a lot like it's a few of the same guys from last year. But if RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins can really break through a few of these runs, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the running game this year in Denver.
Yeah, and it looks like that's what they were brought in to do, especially Dobbins. I mean, he had so many of those runs on his tape last season.
And this is our second last one here. This is the one where everyone was mad he bounced the one outside. Yeah, this one's real. One day, there's going to be a running back who's going to realize, oh my God, I should just ride Quinn Miner's hip as far as I can go and just see what happens. Because this happens all the time where it's like, man, just get behind Quinn here, man. Like, don't make it too hard on yourself. And, like, I can't lie. You do see the defenders kind of – I think that there's maybe a little bit of people being too harsh here of like, oh, why is he bouncing? Not too harsh, but like, I don't know. There is a world where I can understand like, okay, you did get both these linebackers stuck up in this hole. Maybe you don't want to go here. Let's go here. But God, it's so disappointing seeing just these trains running downhill and this guy just does not want to take advantage.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it'll kind of subside itself throughout the season. But again, I don't think it was necessarily too big of a problem to kind of cling to the idea that it's a consistent problem for him. I get that it was surrounding his college tape quite a bit, but it just didn't present itself too much this game.
Yeah. No, I think this is really the one that you can point at. And then the final play. We've just got a deep ball to Sutton. There's nothing to say here, guys. This is like a 3rd and 9, and they literally just ran 4 verticals. And like, oh my God, there's 4 receivers on the field. They all have one-on-ones, and one of them's Cortland Sutton, who's Bo Nick's going to throw it to. Probably Cortland Sutton every single time. This is not shocking at all. Ends up being dropped. There's not really much fine ball. I don't know. I don't really have much thoughts on the ball, but yeah, that was kind of the final play. Big takeaways. How are you feeling after going through that? Like, do you think that this can be an offense that can like get this team deep into the playoffs this year? Are there still going to be like a subpar, like just below average offense? What would be your prediction for like where they end up as a unit this year as a whole?
I think honestly, if I had to make a prediction to where they would end up, I think they'll be a slightly above average offense, and I think what will really propel them to that is the running game. This running game has to pull through in a way that it did in the past 2 years, and I don't think that there's an avenue where they don't. Like they're just built way too well, whether it be the offensive line, whether it be the diversity in the backfield, whether it be the running quarterback, whether it be the diverse run schemer in Sean Payton. They're just built to be a good running team. And we saw some flashes of it last season. Obviously, the consistency wasn't there, but we saw some flashes of it. They just have to be a good running team. And a good running team offsets a bad passing team, which I don't think they'll be. I think they'll see some strides as a passing offense. I think they'll see some improvement in their pure drop back game. And I think the additions of guys like Evan Ingram, Pat Bryant, and this new Troy Franklin that we're seeing will go a long way to help with that. I think the play action game will also see a pretty big sizable leap. I think they'll be a slightly above average offense. And I think that's, we've heard it so much post Super Bowl 50, but I think that's all they have to be. Like with this defense, I think that's genuinely all they have to be to see, a realistic deep playoff run.
We didn't talk much about the defense today. Oh boy, they are going to be a problem, guys. Like we didn't go through it, but my Lord, they have the best corner room in the league. I just don't even think it's like there's news where I'm like, oh, like I like the Ravens corner room a lot. I don't think it's even close, honestly. Like it's just like, oh my God, your 5th and 6th guy are those guys. Like McMillan had another really nice interception in this one. He did get beat on like the 3rd play of the game, and I know a lot of people were upset. Understandable. Jahdae Barron, sick, very fun player. Oh my God, he just roams and just does things. Seems very instinctive. I see why everybody's like, yeah, this guy doesn't really act like a rookie on the field. And I'm like, no, he does not at all. And then, I mean, just everybody's going to be able to play everywhere. I'm still a little worried about like, oh, what are you going to do when you go against this team that's just willing to get big on you and just run you over? We'll get there when they get there. Week 4 against the Bengals, mark your calendars, because that offense versus these DBs is going to be so fun to watch. I can't wait. I seriously am so excited. I'm wearing the Riley Moss today. Had to rep it a little bit because that's the boy. That boy, and he's apparently been having a good camp.
That boy,
of course
nice.
he has. Who's shocked? Who's shocked that he's having a good camp? Nobody, not me. Why would you be surprised? He's one of the best CB2s in the league.
And hopefully he gets his healthy revenge game, because I'm writing off that game against Higgins last year. But not to cut you off, go ahead.
Hey, last night he took an L. Today he's bouncing back. You know, where that's exactly how he's playing it out, right? So, yeah, the defense is going to be absurd. And then, like you said, if the offense can just be even more complimentary than they were last year, because again, it's not like they were a bad offense last year. They were by most metrics I could look at. I tried to find some where they were like really high or really low. They're like 16th. They're like 14th to 19th in everything, which, to be honest, is kind of a props to the coaching staff, considering we were all looking at the skill position players last year and being like, how is this going to work? I think it's also a testament to like, man, if you have a really good offensive line, it's a lot easier to make football happen. Because, yeah, man, I mean, they were the 10th. I mean, points per game obviously gets a little, messed up because they scored so many defensive touchdowns last year. I think they had like 3 or 4. But they were 10th in points per game. It didn't feel like that watching the offense a lot of the time last year, unless they were facing an NFC South opponent, in which case they looked like they could beat the 2012 Patriots. But, yeah, I think the ceiling this year is really high, and I'm excited to see the offense and these young guys continue to grow. What's one thing, like, for the rest of the preseason that you hope to continue seeing or that you'd like to see?
Just RJ Harvey touches. Like, I want to see just how complete of a guy he really is. And not only RJ Harvey touches, I want to see some RJ Harvey pass pro. Like, I want to see some true pass pro reps to see and kind of project where we can view him as a guy going into the season, because we still don't know his role. We're going into preseason week 2. We have no idea the kind of role he'll have. So I really want to see just some isolated RJ Harvey reps in both the passing and the running game.
I want to see Jahdae Barron get sent off the edge. I want to see a Jahdae Barron. We've heard it. They've said like 3 times throughout camp. There's been like oh my God, Jahdae Barron just destroyed a play by getting sent just so sneakily off the edge by Vance Joseph. I need it. I need it so soon. But yeah, I think maybe so. Next week there's no starters. Maybe next week we'll figure it out. We'll be on here to talk about the offense whenever there's new offense stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about the defense next year. Not too sure. You have anything else to say about that first preseason game?
No, I mean, not really. All I have to say is, for those who'll get it in the chat, you'll get it. But RELAX, relax.
Relax. Just chill out. Well, all right, guys. We have 743 viewers right now, which is crazy. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Yeah, no, we have a very high number. It's been pretty sweet. So thank you guys all. You should all go subscribe to the Let's Talk Broncos stuff. Follow Let's Talk Broncos on Twitter. Follow Robby at Robby NFL on Twitter. Follow me, Frankie's Film. I post cut-ups and stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on to watch us. We love you all. To a Broncos win in Arizona this Saturday, one of those 2 days. Should have had that information up in front of me. But anyways, yeah, everyone have a great rest of your night. This has been Full Field Read. Later.